Hey everyone, Dinuka here. In this video, I'm going to show you a quick way to actually get all of your leads from different sources, like external sources, like landing pages, things like sales funnels and all that, your ads, maybe your own apps even, or if you got like a different source where you want to send post requests into the CRM and then save your contacts and do a whole bunch of other things, this is the video. So what we're going to do is I'm gonna show you a little demo of sending some leads over using Postman, which is just for testing. But if you've got a landing page, you can definitely send that request over. And we're gonna save that contact in the CRM. We're gonna add them to a list, set a tag, assign to a team member, and then kick off a drip campaign, an email drip campaign right within the CRM. And it's only gonna take you like 15 minutes to actually do this. So it's very straightforward. So let's do this. First, I'm gonna show you what I'm actually gonna send to the CRM. This is the JSON request that I'm going to send through. This is the payload. So I'm assuming if you've got a landing page, for example, and you've got a form in there that people can fill out, you probably got some fields in there and it's going to look something like this, maybe if it's like an opt-in form, but it doesn't really matter. You can send any sort of format. This is the format that I'm going to stick with to send Michael Scott over to the CRM. And what we're going to do is I'm going to add everyone into my contacts, and it's fully going to be automated as well, and potentially add them to a pipeline and add a tag and a whole bunch of other things. So let's get started with that. First thing you're going to need in NinjaPipe, I'm going to just move me over to the right here. You're going to need this thing called data bins. So what is a data bin? Data bin is essentially there is no structure to a data bin. You can send any sort of data into a data bin and store them within the CRM. Now these can be leads, these can be job applications, for example. These can be all sorts of different data. As long as you send them in JSON, and we are also supporting a bunch of other different types as well, but JSON is the most commonly accepted way. As long as it's in a valid format, you can store them in the CRM. And what can you do with it? You can pretty much kick off a bunch of automations within the CRM after that. So I'm going to just go ahead and create a new data bin, and I'm going to call this new leads from landing page, right? And you're going to get like a webhook generated. A data bin is essentially a webhook, an inward internal webhook that just comes into the CRM, not sort of something that goes out. So I'm just going to go ahead and create this. And then after that, if you go in here, you'll notice all of your requests will show up here when you send leads over from your landing page. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a little demo, copy this URL that you get from this. It's going to look something like this, right? Depending on your subdomain that you have, your workspace subdomain that you have on NinjaPipe. I'm going to go over to Postman. This is just for testing purposes. I'm going to paste this up. Now, all I have to essentially do is send a post request to this URL with your payload as JSON, and that's it. So if you are setting this up with your landing pages and your form supports post requests, it definitely does, because most form plugins, for example, in WordPress, all of them support sending a post request, or it's called a webhook. So look for that word as well. So if you just send this over, it's just gonna make that request. If you come over to NinjaPipe in here, in just a second, it'll just show up, or I can just click on refresh and it'll just show up immediately. And there you go. So you've got your request in the CRM now. You've essentially done the bridging between your landing page or your external source to the CRM. And that's it. You've already got your data within the CRM. Now the next thing is you just do a whole bunch of automations and things like that. All right, let's get started with the automation. I'm gonna kick this off by saying new leads from landing page. I can even simplify this, new leads CRM, right? So I'm going to create that automation. What you're going to see is this automation workflow creator, this designer, and it's super straightforward. What you've got in here, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on this. On the left-hand side, you'll see triggers. So all of these things, these triggers are executed when something happens within the CRM. And it can be different types of events. For example, when an invoice is created, or when a new order is created, when a new company is added, a deal is created, a task is completed within your team, or your clients do that. Contact created. So all sorts of different triggers, things that happen within the CRM. You can use those triggers to just kick off different things within the CRM. I'm going to go ahead and drag, actually not this, I'm going to drag data bin received, because remember what I told you about data bins, it can basically store any sort of data from external sources. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kick off an automation when that data bin receives a new payload, a new request. The first thing you got to do is click on the data bin received card. In here, you can actually select which data bin you want to trigger this automation from. I'm going to find the one that I just created, which is called new leads from landing page. You're probably going to have like one or two in here. I've got a whole bunch. So click on that data bin. The next thing the workflow needs is a sample payload. Now, the reason for this is you're going to structure the rest of your automation based on this card, right? So the card needs some sort of template to work with. So we are going to go over to the request that I sent. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this over here. So this needs to be the exact same replica of the request that you'll be sending moving forward. So just put in some sample data. It doesn't really matter. This is only for your designing process. And then hit save, right? Now your card is ready. The next thing you can do is, if you go to actions, you'll see a bunch of actions that you can actually do. You can send an email, send a Discord message, send a Slack message, a whole bunch of other stuff that you can do as well. What I'm going to first do is I'm going to add them to a contact, my contact list. So I'm going to drag create contact over here, connect these two arrows together from the top to the bottom. That's it. Now you created yourself a little automation where you can kick off adding a contact when a new data bin is received. But you got to fill a bunch of other things as well. So over here in the create contact card, you can, for example, fill out the first name, last name, and all this information. What you can actually do is, if you go to one of these fields and it says type add to add dynamic variables, that's exactly what you got to do. If you hit add, you'll see a bunch of different suggestions from your data bin. Now that's the reason that we added that template, the sample payload, into the data bin received. It's going to show you all the things that you can actually do with that. So in this case, I'm just going to select first name. You can actually search this as well, right? So first name is going to be databin.firstname, which is exactly as you'll notice here. First underscore name is exactly what I have in here, and that's the reason we pasted that sample payload. For last name, I can do last name. Email address, that'll be email underscore address. And phone number, if you have that. Company, I believe I have that as well. It's called business. And then you can make this an active contact, and then nickname and all this other information that you can fill out as well. Feel free to add any or all of these, or you can actually set custom fields as well. You can select custom fields in here, and you can give it a name. For example, I've got founded, right? That might be a custom field in this case, but you can have different sorts of other things as well. I'm going to create that as well. Founded, I'm going to do founder, databin.founded, and then add that field, right? Next thing you do, hit save. That's it, and then save on the workflow as well. And that's pretty much it for creating the contact. But I'm going to kick off a couple other things here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a tag. Now, I'm going to go to another tab and show you how to set this up as well. Now, what is a meta tag? I'm going to give you a quick example. If I were to go to my contacts here, I'll just open this in a new tab. In here, let's see if I have any. I don't have any saved, but if I were to go to one of these contacts, you'll notice something called meta tags in the top right. If you click this, you'll see a whole bunch of different tags I've created, right? Now, when you assign some of these things, it'll show up like this. And when you hover this, it'll actually give you some information about this tag. Now, the cool thing about this is that wherever Victor, whatever the last name, appears in your CRM, they're going to have this tag appear right next to them. Now, which is pretty cool because you can always see who this contact is or some other relevant tags about this contact wherever they appear in the CRM, right? So, for example, Victor for me is a prospect and a VIP customer, which is pretty cool. I can see that show up everywhere Victor shows up. I'll show you quickly how to set this up as well. So if you click your account here and then go to workspace settings, and if you scroll over to meta tags, you can actually create a whole bunch of different tags. Now, what can you use this for? I'll give you some real world scenarios. You've got maybe lead sources. You're running ads on IG, you're running ads on LinkedIn, whole bunch of other areas, and you basically want to see where they come from, right? For example, if you're running a meta ad, and you want to know the leads coming from Meta, that's essentially that tag, right? If you want to tag somebody as a high value client, for example, go ahead and do that. And you can create as many tags as you want. So with this, I've just created a bunch of them already, but you can go ahead and create your own stuff. Now, if you come back to the automations, you got to click on set meta tag. It'll ask for something called contact ID. Now, what is that? That's essentially the identifier for your newly created contact. Where do we get that from? That's essentially a dynamic variable. If you do at here, if you search for contact ID, it'll actually show up and it'll say create contact. And the reason is, if you click this ID comes from the card above that, which is the create contact card. So you create a contact, now it has an ID within your workspace. You can use that ID to do a whole bunch of other things for that particular contact. So that's the reason that I've added that there. And the next thing is you can tag different stuff that you've got, right? I'm gonna do qualified and a VIP client and meta ads for this particular contact. I'm gonna hit save, right? I'm gonna save this. Now let's kick this off and let's see where we're at. All you gotta do is click on activate. And now your automation is active. as you can see here over here. And another thing is, you got another button over here called Runs. If you click on that, it'll show you all the history items of all the executions that you've done for this workflow. For example, when somebody submits your form in your landing page, it's going to appear here as a history item, so you can see what happened when that automation kicked off. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's go to Postman again. Let's kick this off. Let's add Michael to our CRM. So now I'm submitting the data bin again. If you go here and do this, you can see it's now kicking off. The data bin has been received and it's now running. It'll actually, we actually keep checking the status, so you can just click on the refresh manually if you want to do it quickly. But the reason you have this is because you can see everything that happened within CRM in each of your steps, and you can diagnose some of the problems as well. All right, let's go to contacts and see if Michael was added. Let's go back over here. There you go. Michael Scott has been added to your CRM. Not just that, we've actually added the tags to them as well automatically. You haven't done anything other than just create that automation. You can go to sleep, wake up in the morning, all of your leads coming from the landing page will be in your CRM, auto-tagged, and then we can do a whole bunch of other things next. The next thing we got to do is come back to the workflow. We're gonna, how about we wait? All right, let's do a little wait. So if you search for wait, you can drag this card in. What this allows you to do is wait for a certain period of time. That's exactly what the name means. If you click this, you'll have a bunch of different options here. You can wait 5 minutes, 1 minute, so on and so forth. We actually changing this to allow custom different times as well. So this allows you to change this to any amount that you like. For now, I'm just gonna go ahead like wait for 5 minutes and hit save. You know what? I'll just wait for 1 minute just for the sake of this video. I don't want to wait for 5 minutes in this video. So hit save, and then you can send an email. Right? We're gonna kick off a little automation over here to send an email. So if you click this, it'll ask for an email template, which account you want to send this from, and the recipient. The recipient is going to be your contact's email. That's the contact that we just created up here. And your from account is going to be your connected email account, right? I'm just going to go ahead and click one of my other email accounts. And the template is based on whatever templates you have. Now I'm going to show you how to create a template as well. There's going to be a whole different video on this, but I'll show you quickly how to actually set up email designs as well. Yeah. All right. So over here, I've got different email templates already set up. But the cool thing about this is you can actually bring your own visual design if you got CSS, or you can do welcome email for contacts, or you can do plain text emails as well. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new email template, and we've got a whole bunch of different templates you can use for different use cases, like for real estate, law, healthcare, or just general sales, for example. I'm gonna go ahead and click this, and then you can fill all of these things as well. The cool thing is you can actually add different dynamic variables, just similar to any other email campaigning software. The good thing is it's baked into NinjaPipe, right? So you can do, like, for example, welcome to our agency, pleasure to onboard business, for example, right? You can do different dynamic variables. You can type anything in here. Just make sure that this format is matched, the double, what do you call that? The curly brackets, the curly brackets. And then if you go to dynamic parameters, it's going to show you all of the stuff that you added in. For example, business name is what I just added in. You can hard code these in for your templates, or you can do that, you know, dynamically in your automations. But that's a whole different video. I'll just cover that in another video. I'm assuming you got your email set up here. You can save that design. And I'm going to go back to my automation. So let's head over there. Where is it? Over here. There you go. And click on this guy. I'll click on send email. Over here, I should have my new email already showing up. And that's it. If I preview email, you can actually see some preview over here. Awesome. So hit save, or actually scroll down. You got to fill out these dynamic variables. So I've got a whole bunch of different variables in that email. For example, hi, first name. So what you got to do is type at data bin first name. That's the same thing that we have over here, exactly what we did. So it's going to be like, hi, Michael, at business, there you go, business name, and a whole bunch of other things that you can fill out. Hit save. Now it's the same thing. It's going to wait for 1 minute. It's going to send that email, and you're going to receive that. Next thing I'm going to do is add this contact to a list and assign this lead to a team member. So in actions, everything's in actions. If you're kicking off some sort of activity within the CRM, that's going to be in your actions tab. If there's conditions, like for example, comparing if a certain value is met, if something is unique, if something is less than or equal, everything's in your conditions tab. back in actions, I'm going to look for list, add to list. Let's do that. Let's add this over here. And I'm also going to assign this contact to a team member. Now, the cool thing about this automation system is that you don't need to have everything linear. You can actually branch things out as well. For example, in this case, I'm going to add to the list and I'm going to assign this contact to a team member at the same time. The reason for this is if you don't want things to be sequential, if you want things to be parallel, depending on your use case, you can do exactly this, branch things out, right? So for example, if you want to send one email and at the same time kick off an SMS, right? You can do that parallelly in two different branches instead of waiting for one to complete, right? There's not going to be a delay between these actions unless you introduce a delay using wait. It's usually going to be like a minute or two, depending on, you know, some of the latencies and things like that, depending on the geographic locations of where your contact is and where our servers are. We're pretty distributed, but at the same time, I feel like sequential is still fine for most use cases, unless you really want it to be instant. That's where you'd have branching out actions. So that's it. Now you can add this contact to a list. I've got a whole bunch of different leads created in CRM, and then you can now set the type as contact, and same thing, you can do contact ID for the contact that you're adding. Hit save, go to assign contact. You can do the same thing, contact ID, and who am I going to assign it to? Use a workspace assignment method or a specific team member. I'm going to show you exactly what this means. For now, I'm going to go ahead with specific team member, and I can assign this to a couple of different people here. I'm going to assign that to Gary Vaynerchuk. So hit save. Alternatively, what you can actually do is I'm going to quickly head over to my workspace settings. I'll hit save here. Let's go to workspace settings. Scroll down to lead assignment. Now, the CRM comes with automatic lead assignment. What this means is you don't have to say lead A goes to Gary, lead B goes to Dinuka, lead C goes to Peter. You don't have to say that manually every single time. Instead, you can round robin that, meaning it'll just distribute evenly across your team members in a rotating order, or you can load balance. Whoever is least busy takes the lead, or you can do rules. You can assign, like, if it is this gender, Brian takes it, this gender, so and so forth takes it. If it starts with John, Brett takes it. Different types of rules, right? You can make the workflow respect that as well. So if you go over here, assign contact, click on assign to, you can select the use workspace assignment method. It's going to respect whatever setting that you've set in your workspace settings. Or you can assign that to a team member manually. And that's it. If you hit save, this will kick off and you'll see that the sequence is kicking off, and yeah, all of that stuff will happen. I'll just show you a quick demo as well. Now I'm gonna call this Dinuka. Yep, and then I'll do Dinuka at NinjaPipe, and then I'll leave the rest the same. That's fine. I'll kick off this automation now. So over here, I can see it's now running the action, and in a second you'll see, there you go. The wait is kicking off. Now it's going to start in exactly 1 minute. It's going to resume in 1 minute. It's now in waiting state. It has set the tag. It has added the contact, set the tag. Now it's waiting. And in a minute, it's still running. In a minute, it's going to kick off the rest of the stuff below that. Awesome. So it's been a minute. If I head over to contacts now, I can see I have been added here. And the tags have been assigned. I've also been assigned to Gary, which was exactly what I needed. And if I go over to lists now, and go to my leads list, I've been added there as well. So perfect. That all kicked off. And I just got the email as well. I just received it on my phone. So that's exactly how you can get data bins to pretty much kick off different types of automations within CRM. It's only going to take you like 15 minutes, but you guys can easily set this up without too much hassle. You don't even need docs. Use this video for reference. And that's it. Thanks for watching.